In this video, I will explain how you solve quadratic equations. This is an example of a quadratic equation. X squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. We need to find the value of x which goes into these, which then will give us the answer of 0. So, the first method of doing it is you multiply the number before this x squared, multiply it with the last number, so in this case it'll be 1 times by minus 6. So, if we write minus 6 here, you then write what multiplies together to give you minus 6 and adds together to give you minus 1. You always add, it always adds together to give you this coefficient of this letter. So in this case, you need it to add together to get minus 1. The two numbers in this case are minus 3 and 2. If you multiply minus 3 and 2, you get minus 6. If you add them together, minus 3 plus 2, you get minus 1. I'll put a little 1 in front of these so you know where I'm coming from. Then, what you do, you write it, 1x squared, use the minus 3 and 2, so you get minus 3x plus 2x minus 6 equals 0. Then you factorise it. But what I'm going to do to make my life a little bit easier, just swap these two. Nothing mathematical about it. Just literally putting them in a different place. Minus 3x minus 6 equals 0. Now we factorise this half as well as this half. So we can take an x out of this half. So you've got x times x plus 2. So if you expand this bracket, x times x gives you the x squared. X times 2 gives you the 2x. Then we want minus 3. And a little cheat, you can just copy the first bracket. So, minus 3 times x, minus 3x, minus 3 times 2 gives you minus 6 equals 0. We'll write that in two brackets. I won't rub it out yet, I'll just write it above it. So you put these two together and these two together. So you have x minus 3, the x, the minus 3, then you've got the x plus 2. So this quadratic equation factorised gives you these two brackets. Now to get the final answer, you have x minus 3 is equal to 0, and you have x plus 2 is equal to 0. Rearrange, take the 3 over there, you get x equals 3. Take the 2 over there, you have x equals minus 2. Now to check your answers, if you put either of those x values back into there, you should get the answer of 0. That was a very long-winded approach to solve a quadratic equation. I'll show you a quicker approach. So, if you have x squared plus 3x minus 4 as an example of a quadratic equation, slightly similar to the method before, you times the coefficient of that by the last number. So you've got 1 times minus 4, which is minus 4. What times is together to get minus 4 but adds together to get 3? 4 plus minus 1. So if you times 4 and minus 1, you get minus 4. If you add 4 and minus 1, you get 3. Now if you put them straight into the brackets, I've just copied them straight from there. Slightly quicker way to factorise a quadratic equation. And then if you just put x minus 1 equal to 0, x plus 4 equal to 0, get x equals 1, and x equals minus 4. And if you put either of those back into this equation, you'll get 0. If you have a quadratic equation with a number in front of the x squared, as an example, 2x squared plus 5x plus 2, you use the exact same method as before. You multiply this number with this number, which gives you 4. I'll write it here. What times together to get 4, but adds together to get 5, which will be 4 and 1. So then what you do, you write 2x squared, write the 4, write the 1, equals 0. Now factorize. You get 2x, x plus 2, because you're just focusing on this half. So 2x times x gives you 2x squared, 2x times 2 gives you 4x. And we copy the bracket like earlier. And then in this case, there's just a 1 there. Now, using this, copy these two, so you get 2x plus 1 and x plus 2 is equal to 0. So now we know that x plus 2 equals 0 and 2x plus 1 equals 0. Rearrange these, you get x equals minus 2 and x equals, take the 1 over, so you get 2x equals minus 1, take the 2 over, so you get x equals minus 1 over 2. The last method to solve a quadratic is using the equation, which is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2a. You need to learn this equation. This is very important that you learn. Let's take a good look at it. Using the same equation as we had before, which is 2x squared plus 5x plus 2 equals 0. This letter is A, this number is A, this number is B, and this number is C. So it relates to the number behind the letter. So A is 2 in this case, B is 5 in this case, and C is 2 in this case. So what you're going to do, shove all these numbers into there. So let's get rid of that B and put 5. Let's get rid of this B and put a 5. Let's get rid of this A, put a little bracket around it, put a 2. And this C, put another 2. And then get rid of this A and put a 2. So now, if you type this in a calculator, it will give you the same answer as previously. which is x equals minus 2 and x equals minus a half. Thank you for listening.